Hey, what's going on, everybody? Justin here, and this is going to be like my first video in a whole, I guess, series of video on Springathon, I guess. Since I've been away from my channel previously, besides like last week, whatever, when I restarted it. I think I was gone for like 100 days or something like that, over 3 months anyways. So I thought, as a way to jumpstart the channel, why don't I do something a little bit different and actually do like a video every day for like a readathon event, and obviously with Springathon, with like kind of a new setup with all my nature books and stuff. I was like, that's the perfect thing to try and do, right? You burned out last time, so do 14 videos in a row. So apparently that's like just, how Justin's brain works. But in this video, we're going to be doing sort of a book haul, I guess. I haven't done a book haul in like half a year or something, so I mean, I wasn't gonna do all of them. I'm just gonna do like my latest nature books that I picked up in the past like 5 or 6 weeks or so. I got 8 books here, not including some field guides. I'm probably gonna do a separate video on just like the field guides and stuff. Just because I know a lot of, like, that's not gonna be like super interesting to a lot of people, but let me know if you do want that video for sure, because I think I will be doing it at some point. But I got 8 books here, and I just want to talk about, these nature, animal, kind of environmental books that I've picked up in time for Springathon. Also, if you have any ideas for videos, I have like 6 or 7 already planned out, but that leaves like a whole like week of emptiness. So I have like 6 or 7 videos that I need to come up with some ideas. So if you have any ideas for nature-ish kind of things you'd like to learn about or see or go more in depth in that you see behind you, whatever, anything like that, let me know. But let's just go ahead and get started. Start with the latest 2 that I got on the last day of April 30th. I picked up On the Wing to the Edge of the Earth with the Peregrine Falcon by Alan Tennant. And I saw this just in like a bargain bin type thing at like a used bookstore. I never even heard of the book before, but after kind of like looking at it a little bit, it's kind of about these like peregrine falcons that since they're kind of like an endangered species and stuff, they put some like radio transmitters on them and stuff to kind of find out like their migration patterns and behaviors and stuff. And I guess this is like the first guys that had a plane, and they just for research and stuff, they were gonna like literally follow the like falcons like on their migratory patterns and stuff, and kind of like all the shenanigans and adventures that kind of go along with that, just because you got like thousands of miles, multiple kind of countries kind of going on and stuff. So apparently it was kind of a little bit more of an adventure than they bargained for, but sounded like kind of like an interesting book, and that's why I picked it up. And then another one that I was actually pretty excited to see, I've never even heard of it before. I've heard of Cy Montgomery plenty of times with like Soul of an Octopus, Tim and Untamed, and How to Be a Good Creature. It's like one of the best memoirs that I've read, and well, ever. I was gonna say in a long time, but it was like 2 or 3 years ago that I read it. But anyways, it's The Wild Out Your Window, Exploring Nature Near at Hand. And it's all about like just like thinking about and like trying to like observe things kind of like in like most people's like backyards or things like that, that are obviously like close at hand. And I was just flipping through it, like I said, I hadn't heard of this particular book by Cy Montgomery, but she's got like little sections on like sand, on coyotes, where do bugs go in the winter, stuff like that, like kind of just a whole smattering of just little different like little interesting tidbits, I guess, just because we do have a lot of there is a lot of like just plant and animal life in your backyard if you like pay enough close attention and actually take the time to observe and stuff. And I think this kind of just gives you some help doing that and starting to like process different things and asking some questions about your own backyard. So I thought that was really cool. All right, now I picked up some other books. This one was on a really good deal. I guess I've seen it online plenty of times. Was She Has Her Mother's Laugh by Carl Zimmer, The Powers, Perversions, and Potential of Hereditary. And it's all about sort of like, obviously, inheritance and like genetics and stuff like that. And I've seen that it's been like really well regarded, but apparently I'd only seen the just the cover artwork and stuff with the chromosomes and things, not the how like massive the book is. I guess I didn't realize until I like saw it in person that it's like over 600 pages. But I was like, I probably should start reading like some big books. That's like the one perk of a lot of nature books, is they're really not super big, like very often. But I was like, some of my history books are like in that range, so probably should maybe try out a science book that's that long. I don't know. I hope it's just really like well written, just because it's a lot of pages. Though it's got good reviews by like Jennifer Ackerman, who wrote The Genius of Birds, which I really enjoyed and stuff. So We're gonna try it at some point. Maybe I'll get like on a genetics kick. I don't know. Maybe not. Probably not, but I'll probably give it a go at some point. Another one that I picked up that I was actually really excited to get, that I've also seen like plenty of reviews for, like kind of online and stuff, as The Tangled Tree: A Radical New History of Life by David Quammen. This is just a really big kind of like bestseller and sort of like a history of life kind of big picture type book. I've seen plenty of David Quammen books everywhere. He used to write for I can't remember if it was like Scientific American or I can't remember. It was some, I probably should like have read it a little bit. But I know he like wrote for like National Geographic. So he had like a syndicated column that was like really, really famous for a long time. But anyways, this has kind of been like in the past like several years, this is like the history of a life book to go ahead and go read. So I was glad I was able to pick that up in kind of like the bargain bin as well. So that's obviously why I picked it up. All right, now moving on to some of the other ones. This one I had no idea what was about, but the cover kind of like struck me a little bit, so I picked it up. And it's The Last Great Ape, A Journey Through Africa and a Fight for the Heart of the Continent by Ophir Drury and David McDonald. And like I said, I wasn't 100% sure what this was. But after like perusing a little bit and looking up online, The Last Great Ape is an organization that one of the authors, Ophir Drury, kind of created when he realized that a lot of the the great apes, such as gorillas, bonobos, stuff like that, going kind of like, obviously everyone kind of knew they were going extinct in the wild like over time if we weren't doing anything, but he didn't realize quite like how quickly this was like happening. So he created this organization. I think I want to say it's based in Cameroon, and they basically go out and try to protect them, fight poachers, all kinds of crazy stuff. Obviously this is in like Central Africa. There's not a whole lot of rules in like some of these countries, such as like the Congo and stuff. So there is a lot of like kind of like life and death situations a lot of times. So it sounded like kind of a good blend of science and kind of like memoir and like adventure and all kinds of stuff kind of combined, which I do really enjoy with the nature book. So that's why I ended up going this one, and I'm actually pretty excited to get going on that one at some point. And kind of in line with sort of Cy Montgomery's book, I found Backyard and Beyond, A Guide to Discovering the Outdoors. And this is by Edward Densing and A.B. Milmos, I guess. I personally picked it up. I liked it because it has like a lot of like woodcut engravings and stuff, which I do really enjoy, stuff like that. But it's kind of in like the same vein as the Cy Montgomery book, where it's got a lot of I don't know, like kind of just little tidbits of information about kind of just like local wildlife and stuff. I'm not exactly 100% sure where this one's based out of, but it deals a whole lot with sort of, observe, like when you see like, migratory birds and stuff, why they're doing what they do and stuff, and like when they're coming and going, things like that. So I think it's like, I don't know, I think it's really cool. Just, you don't always have to go to like a state park or a national park just to, be out in the great outdoors and stuff. So a lot of people, like when you live in like kind of rural areas, have big backyards and things, and there's just a whole lot you can still observe and watch just in your backyard. This one, once I heard about it, I actually sought this one out. It sounds really goofy. Golden Wings and Hairy Toes, Encounters with New England's Most Imperiled Wildlife by Todd McLeish. And it sounds, I remember reading the name and I thought that was like the goofiest name ever, but it's all about each chapter is sort of like a vignette on like a endangered or like rare animal from New England. And I think one from Maine that he picked was the lynx, if I do believe. But just looking at some of it, we got, let's see, Canada lynx, golden winged warbler, Bicknell's thrush, all kinds of stuff. So I thought it was kind of cool that it was dealing with all different kinds of animals. There's even like marine life with like the right whale and things like off the Atlantic coast and stuff. But I thought it was just kind of a cool idea to kind of, species featured in the book on the back. I'll let you look at that real fast. Yeah, so when I saw that, it was kind of like, I always really enjoy kind of like New England / Maine, northeastern type books, I guess, especially on nature, just obviously because that's where I live in the middle of pretty much nowhere. So it's kind of cool like reading about kind of the area that you live in. And I'm sure obviously there's lots of books for like the Northwest or the Southwest or Southeast Central Plains. I'm sure there's tons of stuff like wherever you live, if you just like take the time to like kind of go search it out or ask online, stuff like that. So like I said, I can't remember where there was another book where I think they mentioned this book, or it was like kind of in the bibliography, and I was like, yeah, that sounds like a funny name, but I'm definitely gonna go seek it out just because it's I don't know, just sounds like a really cool idea for a book. And then lastly, probably the one I'm most excited for out of all the books is, it's like, there's a really rough condition. I bought it used online as, you know, the phone rings. All right, and I'm back, and let's go ahead and talk about the book that I'm probably most excited about out of these 8 books, and it's The World of Northern Evergreens by E.C. Palu, and this is the 2nd edition. And once I heard about this book, I was like, yeah, I gotta go get it. Of course, I bought it like used online, and it's like, you know, this like terrible, like weird, like grungy like library edition that's been like all cut up and glued over and stuff. But I've already started this one, and it is really good. It's like it's this strange combination of like kind of field guide for like, you know, the northern evergreen forest, which, you know, coincidentally where I live in rural northern Maine is the epitome of the world of the northern evergreens, which is, you know, partly why I picked up the book. But it's got a whole lot of like lore and just like kind of scientific information and like kind of just like nature watching information and just like things to like look at and observe and like and just explains all kinds of stuff. And like I said, it also has kind of like a field guide built into it as well. Just thought it was just, I don't know, it's just a really cool concept for a book. And like I said, obviously being, you know, in an evergreen forest and stuff myself, pretty much, you know, it works out really well. I really enjoy these kind of, I don't know, the information where like where you can like look at something like in the woods or whatever and be able to like kind of know what's happening there and stuff. I don't know, it's just kind of, like I said, it's kind of like a lore master distilling like some information and stuff. And just even in like the introductory stuff, there was like one probably should have like remembered where I found it. But yeah, just reading like little a couple little snippets from the preface to the 1st edition. I just want to read it, and like it just kind of explains kind of like why I'm going to, like, I know I'm just going to like really enjoy this book so much. For example, outdoor people have a wide spectrum of interests. Specialists tend to specialize in, you know, interesting items. A birder is more likely to concentrate on owls than on starlings, and the average plant hunter finds orchids more fascinating than crabgrass. Because of this preoccupation with the hard to find, the beautiful and the unusual, most of the commonest objects in nature are apt to be ignored. They are simply there, part of the background. But to assume that a thing, of course, the best sentence, and I screwed up, but to assume that because a thing is common, it is therefore uninteresting, is a mistake. And I think that's like really true, especially like, you know, dealing with like outdoorsy natural stuff. People just kind of like go for like, you know, super fancy, you know, cliff line sunset views and stuff, but there's so much interesting just like in your backyard from like the other books that I was kind of talking about. And learning to identify the different species of coniferous trees is only the beginning. Once you know the trees, many things can be observed if you know what to look for. There is, however, a world of difference between seeing and interpreting. The ability to interpret is the hallmark of the true naturalist, and developing that ability is one of the pleasures of being a naturalist. The well-informed naturalist understands and enjoys 1,000 things that the uninformed one does not even notice, and the more people who understand and enjoy the woods, the more there will be to protect them. So that's kind of like where I'm coming from with a lot of this sort of like field guide stuff and like kind of just like going out in nature and like watching, observing, and learning things. He summed it up really much better than like usually I'm able kind of to do so. And like I said, this is the one I'm probably the most excited for just because it's kind of this combination of like wisdom and field guide stuff and like observation and vignettes, just kind of like all like blended together into like this really cool book. So I'm really glad. I gotta find out what book this one was too. I know this was in like one of my bibliographies too. So when you're reading nature books and science books and nonfiction, always read the bibliographies before I know like you know what books those authors, if you enjoyed the book, like what they used as well. So there you have it. Those are the 8 most recent-ish nature books that I've picked up. Let me know what you think of any of them, or let me know what, let's see, the most interesting book that you picked up in the last month or two has been. I'm always on the lookout for good reads, especially nonfiction ones. Well, pretty much exclusive nonfiction ones for me, I noticed. But thank you so much for watching. Like I said, this was the first video, and hopefully a whole string of Springathon, nature, outdoorsy related videos. We'll see how it goes. But yeah, try to keep me accountable, I guess. And whatever you're reading, for whether you're joining in Springathon or not, always remember, read victoriously.